Welcome back to another Story Time, where I'm going to continue my saga of some of my transportation travel stories. This one I want to tell you about was the most frightening plane flight that I've ever been on. Now, you know, when I was a kid and I would get into turbulence and stuff, you're like, oh, wow, man, this plane's like a roller coaster. Woo, yeah, that's kind of fun. Hey, you know. Well, I remember I was flying from Madagascar to Johannesburg, which is the capital of, well, it's not actually the capital of South Africa. It's the largest city in South Africa. South Africa is one of the most high-speed countries in the world. It's an amazing place. Nowhere else in Africa like South Africa as far as modern travel and stuff like that. Coming there from Madagascar, which is one of the least modern countries on the planet, was always quite a thrill because it was such a clear dichotomy between old and new stuff. I was flying out from back from Antananarivo, which is the capital of Madagascar, to Johannesburg, where my family and I were living at the time. And I had gotten on the plane and we were headed back into Joburg. And I remember that we had had some travel advisories that, you know, it was going to be rough weather coming into Joburg. And I said, well, okay, it's rough weather. You know, we're in a big plane and everything's going to be okay. Well, as we started getting closer and closer to Joburg, near the end of our trip, we started getting more and more and more turbulence. Now, I've experienced turbulence before, you know, this kind of jumping up and down, you know, but this was like almost like throw you out of your seat kind of stuff. Plus, I had never experienced lateral shifting where the whole plane would just suddenly just throw you left to right. And I was sitting by the wing and could see out in the wings just like bird wings, just going up and down like this. And we were flying through all this weather and the lightning bolts actually hitting the wing and stuff. And you're just like, oh my gosh, you know, this is it. And you know, we're all going to die here. There's no way that we're going to be able to survive all this wind shift and, you know, up and down business like this and just getting thrown all around and lightning flashes and hitting the wings and stuff like this. So the pilot said, okay, first off, he was a South Africa guy, you know. So, you know, not that we didn't have confidence in the Malagasy pilots, but that did give us, we're going to drive into South Africa. It's a little rough weather. We want you to make sure that you're holding onto your seats, you know, because he had that kind of clipped kind of Afrikaans accent. It's going to be a little rough. We're going to be okay, you know. We're like, oh good, you know, so we're all okay. And, you know, so we're coming down in there, just the plane just getting thrown up and thrown around and lightning hitting us and striking us and throwing us to the side and stuff like this. And all of us were just, all the other passengers looking at each other like, you know, this is it, man. We're toast. There's no way we're going to make it through there. So we came down there and you could see, you know, you could rain, torrential rain, you know, and you could finally kind of see the lights down below of the city and you thought, okay, well, this is it. We get braced for impact, you know. And so we got there and he gets closer and closer and closer to the ground. And you're like, oh my gosh, are we going to make it? You're bouncing up and down and it like skids down. It's like this, you know, and he's throwing on the brakes and the plane's kind of skidding to the side, stuff like this. And he finally kind of pulls it to the thing. And I can remember everybody on the plane just like, yay, 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 we made it. We're going to live, yay. Just this, like, you know, when you're in a football game and you score the final touchdown, everybody's just so glad, you know, except to a magnitude of 10 because we all thought we were going to be dead. And so we finally landed and got there, and Kathy was there to meet me, you know, and so we got off the plane, and then we got off the plane and you hear this announcement. It was South Africa Airways. We're letting our passengers know that this airport is now being closed down because of inclement weather. It's just far too dangerous to land or fly. So all of our other planes are now going to land in Pretoria, where the weather is not so bad. And we're like, oh well, at least they got enough sense to not do you know, here anymore, let it blow over, you know, because what had happened was, South Africa has so many precious metals in the ground that apparently it like has more lightning strikes. I think the only country that has more lightning strikes in South Africa is Uganda. I'm not exactly sure why Uganda is #1, but that's why we had incurred so many lightning bolts and stuff like that, because of this the metals in the ground is what they were telling me. But ever since then, now whenever I fly and I start feeling any turbulence at all, instead of being like, oh, this is kind of fun, hey, you know, riding around the airplane, whoa, you know, now it's all like, uh-oh, you know, it reminds me of South Africa when we were all gonna maybe eat, crash, and burn death. But I didn't, I made it. And that was another story time.